Last week, I made a post in my Discord announcing that I needed a base to upgrade. I certainly didn't expect such a huge response. I received over 100 submissions, and after reviewing each one, I chose the best. Naturally, I made some improvements, and today I'm ready to show it to you. It turned out just the way I like it. Fully symmetrical, impressive, with tons of pixel peaks, new design solutions, and turrets placed in essential spots to defend your base to the last. In other words, these turrets will be a real problem for your raiders. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my newest bases, hit the like button, and let's check out this awesome base from the inside. This base has 3 entrances to the compound. I've added a pretty standard airlock to each entrance to prevent you from being deeped. I also added window frames to all the gatehouses, so even if someone's door camping you, you can spot them without unnecessary risk. And if negotiations fail, you can always surprise them. The compound itself is cozy and neat. You can even place large furnaces, but personally, I haven't used them in my survivals for a while because of electric furnaces. But if you love snowballing, why not? The entire base can be built from one TC, so you can power the whole compound from the main base if desired. I'll show you an example. Here I have an extension, I break the twig frames, and then I can easily place the most standard or even a non-standard multi-TC from this side. This move will protect your base from being built over after a raid. Also, there's a nice spot for planting crops. This extension serves as an external combat spawn. Here you can respawn and start defending your base. I recommend keeping all the repair materials in the large box for use during a raid. You have 3 such combat spawns in the compound. So, as you can see, there are 3 combat spawns and 3 exits, and each extension in the compound can be powered from the main TC. Inside the base, we also have our own territory, which you can say is a full-fledged shell. Its strengths are evident during online raids, as it will greatly help you, and just imagine how many raiders will die from these shotgun traps. They are placed almost at every step. Additionally, almost the entire shell is controlled by turrets positioned around the perimeter. If you haven't built a compound in your survival yet, even at this stage, you won't be door camped because you can see almost everything from here. But if you have wooden shutters, you can also pass an F1 grenade. And I forgot to show you, even here we have 2 shotgun traps. This is your lower shooting floor. You can use it comfortably both at the start of your survival and at the end. From here you have an excellent view of the first entrance doors to the territory. The turrets here are also very useful. Despite the base being completely symmetrical, there is only one entrance to the base. It's accessed via a triangle hatch and a regular ladder. This is, of course, for increased protection. As soon as these double doors open, you're immediately facing 2 turrets. This shooting floor is fully circular with no blind spots. From here you have exits to 6 pixel positions in different parts of the base. For example, here's one. You can shoot both under the base and at long distances. And as usual in my guides, you don't need a paid skin on stone for this pixel, so you won't need to spend extra money. You can also check what's happening on your roof at any time. The first entrance doors to your shell are also well covered. I think you can see how useful all this will be during an online raid. One of the strongest aspects of this base is these turrets. Imagine you've gone to sleep, all your garage doors are closed, and here you have a combat spawn. This turret won't let you get killed during an online raid. You can then proceed to control the lower floors of your base. The turret will also shoot effectively there. Don't forget, you can always climb up to a pixel position to see what's happening on your roof. This base is very mobile. You can place shotgun traps along the walls in this shooting floor. This is of course a standard practice, but it can protect you from respawning on the beach. You have 2 combat spawns in this shooting floor and 1 passage to the center of the base. But first, let me show you the upper floors. Here you have everything that didn't fit downstairs. Vending machines that you can use for selling stuff and storing various HV rockets, grenades, and so on. Also, there are sleeping bags, a repair bench, and a research table. The roof itself is fully circular with 3 more turrets. These pickdowns serve multiple purposes. First, they are convenient for shooting at the first entrance doors of your shell. You can also use them for long-distance shooting. The final strong point is that it serves as an airlock. You can close the doors at any time and go down. However, if you don't need to do this right now, just leave the doors open. No one will get in here, but you might have noticed that I have some more double doors here. Behind them are additional boxes. They are there so you don't have to go down to the base to store resources when you return on a minicopter. The place for the minicopter is right in the center of the base. Also, I made respawn bunkers on 3 sides of the roof. You can pass resources and take them out either through the head or through the drop box. These bunkers are of course optional, but honestly I would add them, because even if you don't store anything there, which is unlikely, it will still draw the interest of those who will study this base, and it will give them something extra to think about. Remember, we went up a floor from the shooting floor. You can also go down a floor from here. Here you have a full-fledged open core. In the beginning, this area serves as your initial shooting floor. In one loot room, you have 5 boxes, and in the other loot room, there are also 5 large boxes. 2 turrets oversee all this. I placed 2 second-tier workbenches here so you can autocraft. Behind them are 3 electric furnaces and an unlootable locker. At the start of your survival, all this serves as the initial shooting floor. If we go further, here is the descent to the first floor. This is protected by an HQM spiral bunker, and behind it is the battery for the turrets. To open this bunker, you need to stand on the sleeping bag below and open it from the inside. You can't open this bunker any other way. It can't be broken with incendiary rockets, grenades, and so on. Here you have the main 3rd-tier workbench, as well as a window frame behind which is the tool cupboard and its upkeep in front of you. In the same place, there is another window frame. Behind it is the very ceiling that opens the bunker. And to close the bunker, you need to put everything back in place. Thanks to my subscriber SkyKes for helping build this base, and congratulations on becoming part of my building team. If you also want to suggest your base for improvements and refinements, join my Discord and submit your application along with the base. If you don't want to bother building yourself but still want to use the best bases in this game, head over to my Patreon. I've prepared 12 private bases just for you. Here's the latest one, released today. It features an unlootable TC, a turret open core for 10 large boxes, an amazing spacious shooting floor that's hard for raiders to take, and 3 bunkers that I can't show here. For just $7.50, you'll get access to this base and all other content I publish there, with at least 12 private bases for any play style. The Patreon link is in the description. Subscribe, you won't regret it. As always, I recommend laying out the future foundation plan of the base right away. I place it so you can immediately see the footprint of the base we are about to build, ensuring that the terrain won't be an issue for you during survival. The entire central part will be made of HQM, with the perimeter upgraded to sheet metal, and the rest should ideally be upgraded as shown in the video. Now let's start building the starter base. It will be fully circular but not quite typical. I will upgrade everything to the final version right away. You can initially make everything out of stone. For the entrance, place a double door, and the TC should be placed in this specific triangle, not the far one. This is necessary for the future bunker and to allow for the neat setup I'm about to show you. Here you will have 2 large and 2 small boxes, a level 1 workbench, 6 furnaces, and 2 sleeping bags. If you look at this setup from a player's perspective, you'll see that it's very convenient for everyone to use. And if you're concerned about having only 1 door, don't worry, you can add 2 more. Please pay attention to the ceiling piece I'm adding now, this one. It will be needed later for the future bunker. Once again, I can't thank enough everyone who likes, watches, and comments on my videos. You have no idea how much it means to me to wake up every morning, grab my phone, and read your comments from the previous day. I also want to extend a special thanks to my paid subscribers on Patreon. Thanks to you, I can buy energy drinks in bulk and keep creating content for you. Thank you, because it's thanks to you that I can continue doing what I do. Every month I release 2 videos on both YouTube and Patreon, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss them. If you're worried about someone spying on you, just place a medium sign like this. This way you can protect your privacy. Now, once you've gathered some resources, we'll fully build the second floor. First, place a double door frame to the left of the entrance, and then build, as I do in the video. This is a very important floor in this base, so making a mistake here would be very unpleasant. Be sure to install double doors and wooden window bars everywhere so no one can climb in. But remember, if someone is determined enough, they can break these bars. You will use a square twig roof to get into the base. Your base should now look like this from the outside. You can actually use it for a long time because it is essentially your upgraded starter base. You already have an initial shooting floor that can be fully utilized, and there are 3 exits, making it very difficult for someone to camp you. Having a shooting floor is great, but 2 boxes in the main loot room might not be enough. So the first thing we build next is an additional loot room. It will be sunk half a floor down. I upgraded to sheet metal because this is the final upgrade for this loot room. But in your survival, you can gradually upgrade the base, starting with stone. I'm just showing it this way so you can immediately understand what material should be used where. Don't forget the square hatch frame here. It's needed for stability. And if you're worried about being attacked through this ramp, just place double doors. If you need additional additional boxes for various items at this stage, place them. On the other side, where we have the same double door, we build a similar loot room. I'll speed this up because I've just shown you the same thing, only slower. And don't forget about the double doors. From the outside, once the two loot rooms on the second floor are ready, your base should look like this. The next step is to increase defense. Below the window frame, add a ceiling in the middle of the wall and close it off with walls 2 stories high. Do the same thing on this side. Later, an unlootable locker will be placed on this ceiling. On the third side, we also place a ceiling, but at the second floor level, where a large battery will be installed later. Now, let me show you how everything looks from the inside. On the second floor, you have 2 fully functional loot rooms and the windows have been turned into buffer walls. Now let's move on to creating the exit to the third floor. We'll temporarily achieve this with a standard furnace. It's important not to make any mistakes while building the third floor because this is where your exit to the fourth floor and your shooting floor will be. Therefore, I recommend following my steps in the video carefully. Upgrade the door frames to stone by default and the ceilings and walls to sheet metal. To prevent getting door camped here, I recommend placing another double door for the future exit to the fourth floor. Your base should now look like this from the outside, and you might say, hidden joint, you've already built the third and fourth floors, but there are still no entrances to the base. Now is the time to fix that. I've delayed it because it's a bit tricky. Well, it works fine for survival, but have you ever used a square spiral staircase in your bases? If not, this will be your first time. I've tested many temporary ways to climb up, using roofs and simple twig additions, but this climb seemed the most optimal to me. Firstly, it's a completely enclosed climb, though a bit awkward. This means it can't be broken or burned down. Secondly, you can always break it later and turn it into a buffer wall for the base. Naturally, if you have learned the ladder hatch at this stage, you can do without this. I recommend setting the double doors to open inward. Now that you have a temporary climb, let's start building the shooting floor. Where I have ramps, place a ceiling and create a buffer wall with an additional ceiling in the middle. This is where the turret will shoot into the open core. Do the same thing on all sides. And to make the base fully symmetrical, add more walls 2 stories high below. For clarity, I do this directly under the turrets located on the shooting floor. Now, perhaps the most challenging part of building this base, the shooting floor, we have 3 sides that need to be built up. I jump down from one of them and add a square foundation to each side. Next, I place triangular foundations and upgrade everything to sheet metal. Mentally divide this part into 2 sections. First, I'll show you how to build one section. Here we create a square room with additional half walls. However, in this spot, you must place a full wall. This is necessary for the future shooting floor. Place windows at the bottom if possible and put 2 shotgun traps in these spots. Essentially, you're done with this side. Now we move to the second side and do the same thing. If it makes you feel more secure, you can place doors in the doorways at this stage, but I wouldn't do it because you probably don't have a lot of resources yet. For upgrades, windows and half walls should be upgraded to stone, and the structures that will support the shooting floor should be upgraded to sheet metal. For clarity, I've flown up higher, and we need to build up the central part. On any side, place a doorway and a window frame. Once you do this, go higher. Add 2 more full walls here, but upgrade them to sheet metal. I recommend doing this to increase protection if you're being bombarded with rockets carelessly. Then you need to place a flame turret in this triangle. Now I'll show you how to build the future pixel positions. Upgrade the entire part of this shooting floor to sheet metal if possible. For the pixels to work well, this square roof should be either stone or skinned metal. Regular sheet metal skin here will ruin everything. Don't place ceilings anywhere yet. I'll explain later. I just added a border and removed all the ceilings. I don't want you to get confused because the roof needs to be properly built with ceilings later. We do the same thing on this side. If you're worried that these roofs can be picked apart from below because they have a soft side, then place regular chains in these openings. They won't be able to pick through these, but remember, they can still be broken relatively easily. Essentially, you now have a shooting floor where you can go out and shoot from one side and then the other. At this stage, you can close everything off to use it safely, but if I start showing you various options, you might get confused. So, I'll just add the same thing on the other sides. This way, it'll be easier for you to understand and for me to explain. Moreover, when you build this base in survival mode, you'll understand where and what can be built. This shooting floor probably requires half the resources needed for the entire base. But it's not surprising. The shooting floor is very effective. Now look, here's our temporary climb, and we need to place ceilings everywhere so that there are no gaps. For this, I place a square ceiling on each side, followed by triangular ceilings everywhere else. Ceilings are very cheap to upgrade, so I recommend upgrading everything here to sheet metal. If you have a lot of HQM, upgrading these ceilings to HQM should be your first priority. Once everything is ready, you will have a fully functional shooting floor at this stage. Not only will you have multiple peaks on the roof from each side, but you will also be able to shoot in any direction from your base. The roof itself can also be fully utilized. Even if an intruder gets in, you can easily neutralize them. At this stage, you'll likely attract a lot of attention, and you'll need to use the shooting floor frequently. So I suggest adding another shooting floor below. This is done very simply, as in all my videos. I recommend upgrading this lower shooting floor to sheet metal to ensure it doesn't break during a raid. To make it convenient to shoot from here, just place the triangular roofs like this. As soon as you have an auto turret, it should be placed here. Even in this basic setup, if you open the double doors, the turret will control everything. You can already fully utilize the shooting floor. Since our base is fully symmetrical, we do the same thing on the other sides. I'll speed this up because I think you already understand everything. Once you have the shooting floor in place, no one will be able to hide from you. Even if you're on the ground level, you'll essentially have a shell inside the base, allowing you to move around safely. And even if you're suddenly killed, they won't be able to loot you, meaning you can still engage in firefights with ease. Now look, here is one entrance to the base, here is another, and here is yet another one. Directly opposite the entrance should be an exterior combat spawn. That's what I'll build now and show you. Everything here will be upgraded to stone. There is no particular reason to upgrade to sheet metal, especially if you don't have multi-TCs yet. In the end, you'll have a bed, a locker, and a large box in these rooms. These rooms will definitely help you if you get killed suddenly near the base. Just note that I don't upgrade the square twig foundations. Ideally, they should be upgraded to wood, but while you're online, they can remain as twig. And of course, since our base is fully symmetrical, we do the same thing on the remaining two sides. If you're concerned about the protection of your base while building the combat spawns, you can build the multi-TCs right away, which I'll show you later. Now, from the side of the lower shooting floor, we need to create the entrance to our future compound. It's done by the same rule, stepping back one square twig foundation. Here you'll have an exit through an airlock and window frames on all remaining sides. If you already have glass by this time, place it. The ceiling where the turret will be placed must be upgraded to sheet metal to prevent it from being destroyed from below. Surround the turret with half walls. Don't place it too far into the corner, it's better to place it somewhere in the middle. Once you do the same on the other two sides, your turrets won't let anyone get close to your base, provided you place them. I think by the time you complete the base in this variation, you'll definitely have a level 2 workbench and embrasure blueprints. So, let me say a few words about them. Install the side embrasures from the inside and the central one from the outside. I recommend doing it this way to get better angles than if you did it differently. And since I've shown you how to place the embrasures, let me also show you how to create the combat spawns on the shooting floor. Note that the exit from the combat spawn must be towards the ramp. This is to enhance online protection so you don't have to run around the shooting floor looking for the ramp after respawning. Also, when placing the bed, ensure that it doesn't stick out through the double doors. If even a small part of it is visible, it can be destroyed, but if you place it like I do, it won't be possible. I hope by the time you set up the combat spawns, you'll definitely have a triangle hatch or a ladder. Therefore, we will now redo that awkward climb through the spiral staircase. Here you will have an empty built-up square buffer room, 2 stories high. The start of your climb will be through a ladder. Next, you open the triangle hatch and reach the shooting floor. The exit to the shooting floor will be through a double door. Place it so that it opens inward. This will be more convenient. Later, it's better to replace the side doors with garage doors to allow the turrets to shoot effectively. Now let's return to our compound. I want to show you how to place nice high walls around this base. Look, here's our exit from the territory. We take a high wall and place it like this. The second wall connects to our external combat spawn. If you've done everything correctly, there won't be any gaps. This depends on how precisely you place the first wall. If the first one is correctly placed, the second one will fit well. From above, you can see my first walls are perfectly aligned. You can place large furnaces easily from here. You'll have room for 2 on each side. And of course, we do the same on the remaining sides. I sped up the video for this part, but I think you get the idea. Now that the large furnaces are in place, our base is likely attracting some attention from nearby players. To protect against them, I'll show you how to place metal barricades. I'll demonstrate on one side, you do the same on the others. Note that I also recommend placing metal barricades above the shooting floor because determined players might climb up and camp there, which we don't want. Now I'll show you how to build the default disconnectable multi-TC for this base. And let me just say, if you have any questions about this base or any other base from my channel, you can always reach out in my Discord. My team and I will be happy to help you. The link to my Discord channel will always be in the pinned comment. Now, the most interesting part, notice that I can't place the TC right now. That's because we have twig foundations near the base. If you break these square twig foundations, the TC will fit into its rightful place. We then secure it with 2 window frames and place glass in these frames. Next, we need to connect this extension with the TC to our combat spawn. This is done using square frames. I recommend upgrading the multi-TC to sheet metal, but note that if it's metal, the combat spawn also needs to be upgraded to sheet metal. Otherwise, it's pointless. If you get raided to the main TC, you can disconnect your multi-TC like this. Then place the TC in the main and put everything back in its place. Now from the shooting floor, we move up to the 4th floor of our base and start building it. Here you will have window frames everywhere, and where the exit is, you will have an airlock with 2 doors. This is a crucial room for defending your base during online raid. So if possible, upgrade everything here to sheet metal. You can either place a research table with a repair bench here, as I did in my room tour, or fit 3 beds, though it won't look very nice. Vending machines are placed by the window frame like this. They can be used both for selling items and for storing everything needed for online defense. Syringes, grenades, resources for base repairs, and so on. Installing these shops is straightforward. Remember, I had 3 respawn bunkers on the roof. I'll show you how to build them now. To fit 2 boxes in here, everything needs to be placed as neatly as possible. Upgrade the ceiling here to HQM, so if someone starts breaking it from below, it will at least take them a long time. I recommend testing the bunker with twig first to ensure it works, either through the head through the wall, or if that doesn't work, check if the drop boxes can be placed. We do this on the other 2 sides of the roof as well. Now, on the other 3 sides, we prepare for future turrets. I didn't show this separately because it's straightforward. Next, we need to create a peek down for the shooting floor. Directly opposite the roof exit, place 2 triangular frames for the hatch, then place triangular roofs on these frames and upgrade them to stone. Additionally, I show you that my peaks are located directly above the entrance to the shell. The last thing to do is to place a double door frame and install the door. Now, let's move on. Here, we won't build the same thing. Instead, we'll create a loot room for 2 large boxes under the roof. This is done similarly, but you might ask, why not make peaks everywhere? If you want, you can certainly turn everything into peak downs. I just built different variations of this base, and this one seemed the coolest to me, because in the places where I build peak downs, you have the entrance to the shell, and where there are no peak downs, the lowest shooting floor would be in the way. Also, having protected boxes on the roof behind doors is quite convenient. When you go raiding on a minicopter, you can fly back, drop resources in these boxes, and quickly go back to the raid. It's much faster than going down to the 2nd floor, and as you have seen, there are quite a few doors. The finished roof should look like this, but that's not all I wanted to show you. Look, we're now on the 2nd floor. Here we remove the doors near the climb to the 3rd floor and install a triangular ceiling for the climb. In these windows, you should place unlootable lockers. Once you place it, it's still lootable. To make it unlootable, add a ceiling above it. The same goes for the other window frame. I won't show it again. As for the large battery, we remove the double door, jump up, and place the battery this way. It's not very convenient, but you only need to do it once. Now for the 1st floor. To make everything clear, I removed everything except the TC. Then I placed 2 window frames, one for the bunker and one for the TC. In the beginning, beginning, when we built the exit to the second floor, we added a ceiling behind this wall. From that point, we place a triangular hatch frame and install a grill. Then we jump onto it and place a ceiling through the wall. After the ceiling, we also install a spiral staircase through the wall. To open this bunker, do the same as in the room tour. Break the ceiling and it opens. That's the base. I want to extend a special thanks to all my paid subscribers on Patreon, and of course thanks to everyone else who supports me with likes, views, and comments. Thank you, because it's thanks to you that I can continue doing what I do. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and check out my other content. Now, I'm off to come up with a new base.